Never ignore the sounds of the forest at night. Those snapping twigs and low growls might not just be animals. They might be something else, something hunting. Imagine this. You're deep in the woods with your closest friends, far from the noise of the city. The campfire crackles, laughter echoes through the trees. Everything feels perfect, until it doesn't. When the first scream pierces the night, you realize something is watching you, something deadly. Tonight we're unraveling the terrifying story of a group of campers who thought they were safe, until the full moon rose. It all started as a weekend trip. 5 friends, all in their early 20s, decided to escape the chaos of everyday life. They packed their tents, sleeping bags, and just enough food for a 2-night stay in Black Hollow Forest, a dense, isolated patch of wilderness known for its breathtaking views and eerie legends. But there was one story they ignored, the tale of the Black Hollow Beast. Locals spoke in hushed tones about a creature that prowled under the full moon, a beast with glowing yellow eyes, razor-sharp claws, and a hunger for anything that strayed into its domain. The friends laughed off the warnings. Legends were just that, legends, or so they thought. The first night was uneventful. They hiked deep into the forest, set up camp by a tranquil lake, and spent hours telling ghost stories by the fire. But as the night grew colder and darker, strange things began to happen. It started with the noises, a low growl that seemed to echo from the shadows, twigs snapping far too close to the campsite. One of the friends, Jake, joked it was probably a raccoon, but when Claire, the most cautious of the group, shone her flashlight into the trees, she swore she saw something move. The group brushed it off and went to sleep. But no one slept well. Jake woke up in the middle of the night, swearing he'd heard breathing outside his tent. A deep, guttural breathing, followed by the sound of something massive brushing against the fabric. By morning, the group was on edge, but no one wanted to admit they were scared. They decided to explore a nearby cave, hoping the daylight would shake off the unease from the night before. The cave was cold and damp, with strange claw marks etched into the walls. Bear, they assumed. But Claire wasn't so sure. As they left the cave, they noticed something chilling. Footprints. Massive, clawed footprints that didn't look like they belonged to any animal they knew. They led deeper into the woods, and against Claire's protests, the group followed. The sun was setting when they returned to camp. As the forest plunged into darkness, the group tried to stay cheerful, lighting the fire and joking about the footprints. But the tension was thick. The first attack came just after midnight. It was sudden, violent. Mark, the loudest and most confident of the group, had stepped away from the fire to grab more wood. A scream ripped through the night, and when the others rushed to find him, all they saw was blood. Blood and torn clothing. Panic set in. The friends grabbed their flashlights, screaming Mark's name, but the only response was the haunting howl of a wolf. No, not a wolf. Something bigger. Claire begged them to leave, to abandon camp and run for the car, but it was miles away and the forest was too dark. They decided to stick together, weapons in hand, knives, a hatchet, anything they could find. But the beast was patient. It didn't rush them. It circled the camp, growling, letting them know it was there, watching. One by one, it picked them off. First Jake, dragged screaming into the shadows, then Emily, who tripped as they tried to run and was silenced before anyone could save her. By the time dawn approached, only Claire and Sam were left. They'd managed to hide in the trees, their breath ragged, their bodies trembling. The beast prowled below them, its glowing eyes cutting through the early morning mist. And then, just as they thought they might survive, the branch Claire was sitting on snapped. She fell, landing hard on the ground, and the beast lunged. Sam screamed, throwing a rock to distract it, and somehow it worked. The beast turned, giving Claire just enough time to scramble away. But Sam wasn't so lucky. Claire was the only one who made it out of Black Hollow Forest. When search parties found her days later, she was delirious, muttering about glowing eyes and claws. No one believed her story, chalking it up to trauma and grief. But the claw marks on the trees and the strange footprints near the abandoned campsite told a different tale. To this day, no one ventures into Black Hollow Forest on a full moon, and if you hear howling late at night, you'd better hope it's just a regular wolf. If you want more stories like this, don't miss the next video.